Hey, welcome to The Explainer. If you're a creator, you know the dream, right? To turn that thing you love doing into your actual job. But you also know the nightmare, that feeling that one wrong move could tick off the very community you've worked so hard to build. So today, we're getting into it. How to get paid without feeling like you're selling out. I mean, this is the question, isn't it? How do you actually make money from your work but keep the trust and the vibe of your community? It's a total tightrope walk. If you get it right, you've got a sustainable career. But if you get it wrong, you could lose pretty much everything you've built. So to really get why this is such a huge challenge, we have to get real about the numbers. This comment from a Reddit thread just cuts right to the chase. A lot of people out there have this massive misconception about how much creators are actually banking, especially from the thing everyone sees, ads. Yeah, let's just do the hard math for a second. As one user broke it down, a video that gets 100,000 views, which is a lot, might only bring in about $80. So if that video took you, say, 4 days to make, you're looking at less than $1,000 a month, before taxes. For most people, that is just not gonna cut it. This ad revenue roller coaster is exactly why so many creators are looking for a better way. And that right there, that is the creator's dilemma. You're trying to balance your passion, the thing you love, with the very real need to pay your bills. So what's the alternative to just hoping for good ad rates? How do you build a real business without making your audience feel like they're just a walking wallet?
For a whole lot of creators, the answer is a membership model. So instead of trying to make one-off sales or constantly chasing the next viral hit, this is all about building a stable business on a recurring fee. The whole focus shifts, right? It becomes about building a deeper, long-term relationship with your absolute most dedicated supporters.
And the benefits here are huge. First off, predictable income. I mean, what a game changer for any creative person. This long-term relationship also means people stick around longer. You're not just making content for an audience anymore, you're actually building a community with them. And that creates a kind of loyalty that goes way deeper than a simple view or a like, giving you the stability you need to keep on creating. Okay, so a membership model sounds amazing, but where in the world do you even start? It's a lot more than just throwing up a Patreon page and calling it a day. You're building a real, actual, sustainable business, and that means you need a rock-solid foundation. So, before you even make a single dollar, you've got to get your legal ducks in a row. First, register your business. A sole proprietorship is easy, but something like an LLC can give you way more legal protection by keeping your personal stuff separate from your business stuff. Second, taxes. You've got to figure out your state's rules for digital products. Third, copyright your content. It's your most valuable asset. And finally, get some clear terms of service and a privacy policy drafted. Trust me, these aren't just boring formalities. They protect you and your community.
Think of your legal docs in two buckets. You've got your must-haves, your terms of service, privacy policy, and copyright notices. That's your legal shield. But then you've got the smart-to-haves, and this is what builds a really healthy business. A clear refund policy, community guidelines, a plan for what to do if data gets breached. These don't just prevent problems. They are absolutely essential tools for building trust.
But getting the legal stuff right, that's just the beginning. I love this piece of advice from a really successful creator. It's not just about playing defense with legal documents, it's about playing offense. You got to look at what other people in your niche are doing, what's working for them, what isn't, adapt their wins, and learn from their mistakes to build something even better. But you know what? Even with the most perfect legal and strategic plan, the whole thing can just fall apart if you lose sight of the one thing that matters most, your community. So let's take a look at a cautionary tale of what happens when that trust gets completely shattered. The person at the center of our story is Matt vs. Japan, a YouTuber who is really well known for his expertise in learning Japanese. He had this super dedicated following, was widely respected, and a lot of his content was free. But when he shifted his focus to some pretty high-priced online courses, the way his community saw him changed dramatically. It all started with just confusion. As this user puts it, the community just couldn't wrap their heads around it. He was already successful, so why would he lock away all of his future content behind a really expensive paywall? This skepticism, it was the first crack in the foundation of trust he had spent years building.
And that confusion turned to anger fast. As this user points out, the community felt like he wasn't just overcharging, he was flat out failing to deliver on his promises. The issue wasn't really about paying for content, it was about paying for value that people felt just never showed up. His credibility was just collapsing.
So, an apology video eventually came out, but for many, it was way too little, way too late. This comment just captures that deep sense of betrayal. The community felt the apology wasn't coming from a place of real remorse, but from, financial desperation. The feeling was that the creator they used to look up to was gone, replaced by someone they didn't even recognize, let alone trust.
And to really crystallize how they were feeling, one user pointed to this concept, the narcissist's prayer. They basically argued that the apology wasn't genuine accountability at all, but a textbook case of blame shifting, following this predictable pattern of denial. For the community, this just showed how deeply that trust had really been broken.
Now, it's really important to say that not everyone in the community felt this way. This comment offers a totally different perspective, suggesting that maybe the community's reaction lacked a bit of empathy. This user argues that, hey, making mistakes is just part of being human, and that maybe the judgment was a little too harsh. It adds a whole other layer to a really complicated situation.
So, what can we learn from all this? The Map versus Japan case is this stark reminder of the tension between profit and people. How do you successfully make money from your work while making sure your community feels valued, respected, and actually heard? Let's look at a much better path forward.
It all comes down to a fundamental shift in your mindset. It is so easy to see people who don't pay as freeloaders, but the really successful creators, they see them as the foundation of their entire community. They're your future customers, what a marketer would call a pre-qualified lead. They provide social proof, because let's be honest, a big, active community looks way more attractive to new members. But most importantly, they're your fans.
Okay, but does this community-first approach actually pay the bills? Well, the proof is right here in the numbers. This is from a creator who started with just a few hundred followers. By focusing on building a really dedicated community, they earned $14,000 in a single month from about 1,100 patrons. This isn't some lucky fluke, it's the result of a very deliberate strategy.
So how'd they do it? The same creator, Funfold4643, tells us exactly how. It wasn't some magic trick. It was just consistent, dedicated community management. Sending a personal welcome message to every single patron, using polls and surveys to give them a real say in the content, and actually talking with the members who are most active. They made their community feel seen and heard. So let's put this all together into a blueprint. First, launch with a backlog of content. This way, a brand new member gets immediate, undeniable value the second they sign up. It feels amazing. Second, keep your tiers simple. 3 is usually the magic number. Too many choices just confuses people. Third, don't be scared to offer a high-dollar tier. You might be shocked at who wants to give you extra support. Fourth, consistency is everything. In your content, your communication, all of it. It builds trust. Fifth, use a public roadmap. This builds so much excitement and shows your community where you're all headed together. And finally, the golden rule. Treat every single member, whether they pay or not, as a valued part of your community. And this brings us right back to our cautionary tale with maybe the most important lesson of all. As this user so wisely puts it, when trust is broken, words just aren't enough. An apology video can be a start, but it's not a solution. Rebuilding a reputation takes a long, consistent period of positive action. You have to show your community you've changed, not just tell them.
Which leaves us with one last question to think about. In this new creator economy, what are you really selling? Is it just a product, a video, a course, a piece of art? Or are you building a relationship, a community, a real connection? The answer to that question will pretty much define your entire journey as a creator.